Welcome to the Emerging Law series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum (TEIF) and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Beyond Transactions. Vinati Kastia Kilambi on building trust and transforming corporate law. She is a senior partner at AZB Partners, whose 29-year journey in law spans complex M&A, corporate governance, regulatory enforcement, and high-stakes investigations. A trusted advisor to leading businesses across industries. Vinati's approach combines hands-on problem solving with deep strategic insight, making her a pillar in India's corporate law landscape. Beyond her professional excellence, she champions gender inclusivity and leads key initiatives within AZB to nurture a more equitable workplace. Join us as she shares a story of navigating challenges, shaping deals, and driving change in the ever evolving legal arena. And we also come to know Vinati as a person. So, welcome, Vinati.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so there are three rounds: professional, personal, and a surprise rapid fire round where will be in the hot seat like you had coffee with Karan and here's inspiration Legal AI 101. So I know AZB has implemented Harvey, so your inputs, how Harvey is impacting the legal profession at AZB. So let's begin the first round. So, friend of mine, Amir Virani, host at Coffee Corner, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So, my first question, Vinati, how has the journey shaped up and what were the key defining moments you had in your 29-year-old journey?
Let me start with the defining moments. Defining moments for me were number one, getting into National Law School, Bangalore. And the second defining moment, actually, both these events happened together, was getting a position and a job at a top tier law firm in India and getting married to an amazing person. So these two things actually happened together. Overall, I think my journey has been incredible. And I think if I had to very simplistically explain this, if my current 53-year-old was to meet my, 24-year-old version, I would actually tell her that, girl, you did really well. So I feel like my journey has been really fulfilling so far. I think I started in 1996 when I joined Amarchand Mangaldas, and I actually started in the litigation team. There itself, I moved from litigation to projects. I did telecom work, I did PSU disinvestment work, financing transactions, and M&A as well. After 7 years at Amarchand Mangaldas in 2004, I moved to AZB and Partners, and I've been here since then. It's now almost 22 years. I have been very fortunate because, through my career at Amarchand as well as here in AZB, I actually got to experiment with a lot of different practice areas. I have worked on some very marquee cross-border transactions across various industries, done a lot of private equity work, worked on real estate transactions and projects as well. And currently, alongside with my M&A and private equity work, I'm working on some very niche areas like regulatory investigations and enforcements, corporate governance hygiene, and internal controls hygiene. And I do investigations in this area and also focus quite a lot on financial reporting and governance related to that, more from a risk management perspective rather than just a check in the box compliance perspective. So it's been a very satisfying journey. I'm still looking forward to new challenges. And, until quite recently, I used to call myself a generalist. But someone actually told me that's not such a great term. You should call yourself a multi-specialist. So I really like the sound of that.
Yeah, this is a new term. I've been hearing in coffee, someone says I'm a journalist, some says a specialist, and this new term, multi-specialist. The good one. So I'll just remember this, and whenever I'm having this conversation with someone like you who deals in multiple niche areas, so define as multi-specialist. So you can also add on LinkedIn कि you're a multi-specialist.
Yes, I should do that.
Okay, so that is what coffee brings. Okay, let's build up the conversation. Vinati, M&A deals can be extremely complex. What's your philosophy for balancing legal precision with business pragmatism?
I think first and foremost, common sense is most critical when you're trying to find solutions to legal problems, which often happen in deals. Skirting around legal issues that you've bumped into through a very hyper technical approach has never really sat well with me. So the way I like to, I would hate to deliver a solution for a client that solves a legal issue, but is not backed by any commercial or business rationale. Like for instance, I just because I think that a issuance of shares by the company could perhaps solve a certain uh, tax issue, I won't just straight away recommend it unless you can show that the company needs some money or that money has some utilization. So I've given a very simplistic example, but I think what I'm trying to say is that any solution that is offered must follow a substance over form approach, rather than the pillar should not be, oh, I found a technically a correct answer for the client.
Wow. So, Vinati, what has been your biggest learning from working on cross-border transactions? I'm doing two parts. That is first part. Second part is, and how do cultural and legal nuances influence negotiations?
Great question. Uh, so I have learned to be very honest and candid. I have actually learned a lot from my interactions with foreign law firms across different jurisdictions and from international clients as well. So it's not to say that, I learned lawyering from them, because obviously I'm an Indian a lawyer practicing Indian law, and I know that stuff, or at least I learned that stuff more organically in my day-to-day dealings. What I did make an extra effort on very early on, what I realized was, uh, from foreign law firms, there's really something to learn, which is how you draft with more precision. You use simple wording, and now practices may differ across jurisdictions, but obviously you'll pick the one that is most appealing. And the one that was most appealing to me was where drafts came with very simple wording, void of too much legalese, in easy to understand, and where everything like an advice was packaged very simplistically, and the presentation and format was also very important. So here actually I'm saying that of course substance is always paramount, but the look and feel of whatever you are delivering to a client is also very important, according to me. So that has been one learning from my interactions with foreign law firms. They just made these really sexy flow charts, which made it so easy for clients to understand. So I also started incorporating those practices in the way that I dealt with clients quite early on. So that has, of course, been one significant learning. You asked the other question about culture. And, knowledge of culture, according to me, is very, very important in negotiations, be it cross border or even if it is just purely domestic transactions, because it helps you read the room. And when you are walking into a negotiation, you're walking into a room. So you have to formulate your strategy. You can't have a one size fits all approach. Having said that, I don't think any culture endorses or justifies an overly aggressive or impolite approach to negotiation. So it's very important to be able to put your points calmly, sometimes even dispassionately. Uh, and I wouldn't say that, oh, you're in Australia and people are aggressive over there. So therefore, your approach should also be aggressive. I would still not want to. Sometimes you're forced to. There is obviously a theory to everything, and there is a practical aspect. Sometimes you may be drawn into that, but I think one has to, over a period of time, just realize that these are probably, this is probably what. See, after a negotiation, when you go back, you should feel good about what you did, right? If you come back feeling that, oh shit, I was so aggressive, was that necessary? Did it actually yield anything, or did it just create disharmony? So I think knowing the culture is very important, but equally not succumbing to a certain perceived culture of aggression is also important. I think another important learning from working on commercial transactions overall has been that no one, not even your client, is superbly impressed by the number of legal issues that you have unearthed unless you are also offering some sensible solutions to those. So if your negotiating style is driven by one-upmanship, that is something that even your client will not appreciate. So these are actually some of my learnings.
Beautiful put up. So my next question, investigations and
Sorry,
regulatory
I think
enforcement.
I'm sorry, Amir, I couldn't hear that one very clearly.
You shifted your mind to something else. So I thought, okay, what's happening? Okay, I'll repeat again.
The
In
speaker got switched off.
investigations and regulatory enforcement matters are often high stakes. How do you approach sensitive cases while safeguarding client interests?
So this is actually, as you rightly said, it is very sensitive. High stakes, high stakes are involved. Again, I think, as is with almost everything that I do, I try to use prudence and common sense mostly. These matters are actually very fact heavy, right? It can sometimes be less about the law and more about the facts. So one is attention to detail is very key. One of the common tendencies that I have seen in these type of matters is, there is a tendency to adopt an information overload approach, which can actually convert these exercises very easily into a fishing expedition. My own personal approach is to try getting a broad sense of what could be the possible risk areas at an early stage itself, and at least have some idea about what could be possible end objectives, like you would say an end game over here. What could actually happen? This is not to say that I want to predetermine the outcome. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what I want to be very careful about is not to make the exercise a big inquiry or start extrapolating or speculating. Very important not to speculate in investigation matters. So I like to keep the approach very factual and evidence based. From a client management perspective, this is one area where you must first be human and then lawyer. I'm not saying that lawyers are not human. I think your personal interpersonal skills and all are very important, more important than your lawyering skills, because you are dealing with sometimes clients or persons who are the subject matter of the investigation, and the entire environment can be quite stressful. So empathy and ensuring that you're available round the clock, and I literally mean round the clock on these matters, you can't be switched off. uh, you're present not just for addressing the legal crisis but also to calm down the stakeholders. That is also very important in these type of matters.
Wow. So, Vinati, how do you see corporate governance evolving in India in the next 5 to 10 years, especially with increasing global scrutiny?
Yeah, so again, all the regulators, or whether you see the way courts are also approaching matters, something that I said even before, the approach is increasingly substance over form. Although sometimes, the word used is you must comply with the letter and spirit. But I think the better way to look at it is substance over form. It's more objective, right? So, quality of governance itself, corporate governance, has to escalate. I'm not saying it's already happening. It is happening, but it's only happening in some of the top listed companies. But I think there are a lot of aspiring Indian startups also that want to list eventually. So
Yes.
corporate governance is something that everyone needs to start thinking about earlier rather than later. And the mindset has to change from compliance to risk management. So you
Yes.
may technically comply with a requirement, but is there still a risk in your approach? Is how companies will increasingly have to start looking at things. Quality of financial reporting, how you are disclosing stuff in your financial statements, is becoming very important. You have a new financial reporting regulator, which is the NFRA, very active in this area and has already done a lot in the area of audit quality improvements. So it's only a matter of time that there will be a push on companies and boards and audit committees as well. It's already happening, but perhaps it's going to increase, since you asked, in the next 5 to 10 years, because the objective is to ensure more transparent, trustworthy reporting and disclosures. Companies itself will have to focus a lot on their internal controls. Particularly, this is important for startups because they will need to start looking at internal controls as brakes in a car that are there for safety, but not necessarily for curbing speed. Sometimes you may have to, but the reason why you have to is for your safety. Internal audit function has to become stronger and more, there has to be more accountability overall. And I think to your subject, the role of AI in all of this, and how it is going to achieve better outcomes in an ethical way, is perhaps an area that is going to develop in the ensuing years.
Yes. Not only ethical, but it is AI plus HI, artificial intelligence plus human intelligence. So I've
Yeah.
been talking on LinkedIn and in the conversations. Okay, it is both. Someone only uses AI will be left out, but using AI plus HI, then he will reach greater positions. Not
Yeah,
only in
I always say to this that artificial intelligence does not mean that you make your intelligence artificial.
very true. This is another topic. Let's post complete our conversations. That's good point. Okay, you don't become a robot.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Ah. So, Vinod, you have advised clients across diverse industries. Which sector has been the most challenging yet rewarding to work with?
So I have to say that for me, it was the work that I did for a beer client quite early on in my career. Uh, I advised them from their first major deal in India till they actually exited. That work saw me go from associate to senior associate to partner, and it also followed me to AZB. And the issues were challenging because there were, in fact, this was one of the industry where there were entry level barriers at that point in time. There was state and center disputes on the sector. Politically, no government wanted to be seen as encouraging the liquor sector, but it was one of the highest revenue earners at the same time. So the legal framework that developed around this industry was always very difficult and friendly at the same time. So it was a, of course, challenging. Now the sector doesn't have as many challenges, at least from a legal perspective. The experience was also very rewarding for me because I just got to work with a wonderful client. There's always that one, you can call them your unicorn client, uh, who you have learned so much from. And in the process, if you're lucky and you work with super nice people, they become friends as well. And that's what happened. Some of them became friends, and I'm still in touch with them, even though I do no work for them now. More recently, the work that I'm doing around regulatory enforcement, financial reporting, governance is very challenging intellectually. And the stakes are also very high. A lot of responsibility comes with some level of stress. So you can't necessarily say that it's uh, rewarding. I'm not talking about fees, because someone on the other side, not the other side, my own client is actually going through a very stressful situation. There could be a threat of jail, there could be a threat of losing your license to conduct your profession. Reputation can go down the drain. So I can't say that this work is rewarding, because it does come with its share of anxiety for the client, which you end up sharing in because you feel for your client as well. So when you are actually working on matters that can impact an individual's life so dramatically, I think it teaches you a lot, and it puts a lot of things in perspective. So those learning for me have actually been quite invaluable.
Wow. Okay, let's go maybe down the lane. Can you share a moment when you had to take a tough call that defined your approach to leadership?
Uh, so I don't think I can pinpoint a single moment like that. It won't be an isolated moment which defined my approach to leadership. But I will say that there have been several moments of introspection based on certain events which have
Mhm.
happened. And I can just share some of my key learnings from those experiences.
Please.
So, very importantly, what I learned was, as a leader, if you ever convince yourself that because there are systems in place and there is good infrastructure, and you are ensuring that the team gets paid well, uh, and therefore everything is on autopilot, you will be in for a rude shock. So that has been one of my learnings. You have to constantly evolve as a leader, and your greatest learnings actually come from your team members, particularly down the chain. So the more distance you make yourself, or you get from the youngest to the younger, the likelihood of you as a leader becoming complacent, or just not knowing what's ground reality, is very high, and that is the risk. So it's a trap that I feel leaders should try to avoid falling into. When it comes to mentoring, when it comes to being there for the team, when it comes to uh, uh, just having that oversight, and I don't mean micromanaging, but just oversight over what's happening, you can't be hands off ever. Your nature of involvement could change, but it can never become zero. So I think that's been quite a learning for me from a leadership point of view.
So I'm building my conversation to this question. As part of AZB's management team, how do you foster growth and guide your young lawyers to become your partners and senior partners?
So this is a very good question, and I think it's an issue that no, firms across the world are currently struggling with, because everyone is talking about Gen Z and how they are very different in terms of their approach and work ethic. So, and the generational gaps have increased quite significantly thanks to COVID, social media, Now, we'll see AI also change the landscape. But I think bottom line is uh, leadership style will have to also change, and we will have to adapt ourselves to the changing landscape. I'm conscious about this, but I'm very much on the learning curve on this. So theoretically, I'm going to tell you what my takeaways are, but these are takeaways for me to actually learn and at least try to put in practice. Just now, it's more theoretical for me because I don't think I'm doing that much, or I'm trying to change, but I don't think that change is going to come overnight or fast. It is going to take some time. It's going to involve unlearning and then learning again. So one thing that I feel we have to do is we have to understand this new generation better. This
Mhm.
approach of, listen, I worked hard. I did not worry about work-life balance, and that's why I made it. That will not cut any ice. That's not the narrative which is going to work. So I know this. What will actually work is meaningful conversations and engagement, which you have to find the time for. So the reason why this is theory for me right now is because I know this is important, but I don't think I am spending enough time on this. I should be spending more time on this. You have to be sharing your journey and challenges, not just the means and the outcome, that I did this and I made it, but you have to actually also let them know what were the mistakes you made, where did you struggle, what were your challenges, and what helped you in those moments, when were you vulnerable. I think those stories also need to come out. As far as feedback is concerned, uh, you know we were more used to a world where someone would just say, what have you done? This is all wrong. Go do it again, right? That won't work anymore. You have to realign and give constructive feedback. This is all wrong. Feedback is not going to take us anywhere. And I think more importantly, when we talk about feedback, appreciation also matters. Feedback should not be only for things that have been done incorrectly. Feedback should also be there for things that have been done well. And I think one very important area is a genuine understanding and acknowledgement that mental health issues are real. They are not. They are not things that people imagine. There are real struggles over there, and that is something that our generation has to learn and accept. I don't think it is up for debate. I won't even say it is one of those areas that should be up for debate. It has to be accepted. So yeah, all on the learning curve on these.
Wow. So, for your information, we have done panel discussion on this safe space topic during World Mental Health Day. We invited four coffee speakers. The topic was Beyond Burnouts, Creating Safe Space for the Corporate Mind. So I'll share the link, and you
I'll definitely
can
watch it.
we can continue the conversation again. So, uh, you are also passionate about a genderless workplace, Avinati. What steps can firms take to achieve inclusivity?
I think law firms in India at least are doing quite okay on having enough gender diversity. So they have enough men and women, but uh, perhaps lesser of, say, other marginalized communities. I am passionate, but I'll just stick to gender issues because there are a lot of causes in our country and we can in the world actually, and you can feel passionate about a lot. But this is one that I am perhaps most passionate about because it's very close to me. When I say I'm passionate about a genderless or a gender neutral workplace, I'm not suggesting that an organization should not acknowledge differences that exist between people. So, and I'll give only one example, right? uh, women will go through menopause. It's a fact. Every woman will go through. Unfortunately, it happens at a time when women are either close to the peak of their career or they are already there. And then they are suddenly hit uh, with this biological, unavoidable uh, circumstance. Now, I think this is something that organizations should talk about. I'm not suggesting that organizations should give extra time off to women to deal with it. I think on these issues, women will be happy if they are just understood. All that we would want is that it is acknowledged that these differences do exist. There are additional challenges as far as women are concerned when they come to work. Just an acceptance and acknowledgement of that is, I think, good enough, at least for me. So, and conversations around it. People should be, because, work, we spend 10, 12 hours at our work. And we have to, whatever we do at work, we take back home as well. So I would like my male colleagues to take back home conversations that they have had with their female colleagues so they can understand their sisters, mothers, spouses better. So it's not just about women have these extra challenges, so pay them more or give them extra time off. That's not the, I think, an acknowledgement that these challenges do exist. That is what I feel is most important, and I encourage those conversations very freely over here. My idea of inclusivity is not ignoring differences but allowing space for them, because doing so will undoubtedly deliver great outcomes. When you allow women this space, this understanding, this acknowledgement, you'll have better talent retention as far as women are concerned.
Beautiful. I want to plan a panel discussion because this, what you have raised, that sensitivity and the conversation around to carry to when you go home. We'll connect again and discuss and invite other speakers. This is really when the Women's Day comes up. That is part of. I was looking for 2026 next year. What topic to have conversation for Women's Day? And thank you for that. Okay. So my last question for your professional journey round: what advice would you give to senior women lawyers who want to be part of management team and be in leadership position at law firms?
I think first is stick on. Okay. Don't assume motherhood or other stereotypical roles that have been attributed to women as an obstacle. So I think I would tell my senior women colleagues to I don't want to use the word fight, but to challenge that, And again, to me, what happens, the decisions that women make at work are very highly influenced by things that happen at home. So don't assume that certain roles are for you at home. Talk to your partner to share in that role, because unless we don't change the ecosystem there, it is going to be difficult for us. And the one thing that I always tell women is that we have to form, I don't like to use the word girls, but we have to form a girls club as well. So I think men have flourished because of the so-called boys club. We have to have our own club, and we have to be our number one champions for one another. So I always tell my female colleagues that competition is good, but when it comes to women, let's compete, but with support. So
Yes.
let's not be happy when, say, a man gets a promotion which you otherwise thought a woman should get, even if you don't like that woman. If based on merit she deserved that, then
Mm.
it should be a loss for all of us, not just for that woman. I'm not suggesting that this happens in my organization, because we are all about women empowerment. But generally, the whole idea, my one liner on this is that, women who don't support other women at work, there is a special place in hell for them. So it is first our number one responsibility to be there for our women colleagues.
Wow. So let's go to the next round and understand Vinati as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
Okay, so I was actually born in Kolkata. I
Mm.
then came to Delhi for some years, but then did most of my schooling in Ahmedabad, and then in a small place called Vapi, which is on the Maharashtra Gujarat
Mm.
border. Then I went to study law in Bangalore. I found my life partner there in law school itself. In my fourth year itself, I got engaged. As soon as I graduated, I got married. My family has been very close knit. It was my parents and the three of us. I have two brothers. I'm the middle child.
Mm.
Growing up, I came from a very conservative environment in some ways. It was a Gujarati family in Ahmedabad. So
Mm.
the only expectation from me was to get married and produce children. So uh, although my parents themselves were, because they didn't live throughout in Ahmedabad, they had slightly different. But when you are in your hometown, then the influence of all your relatives is also quite a
Mm. Yeah.
strong
Yes.
one. So I think the biggest expectation from me was get married, have one, two babies, and then that's your life. But I was actually quite determined to be a lawyer. And I'll tell you how I made this decision. And you'll also, because I don't come from a family of lawyers at all. No lawyer in the family, pure business family. Actually, my inspiration for becoming a lawyer was a very shallow one. We lived in this society in Ahmedabad where we were staying on one small floor uh, in a society, but we were surrounded by these bungalows, which with nice cars. For those times, they were nice big cars. So, and all those belong to lawyers. So I said, lawyer hi banna hai, because that's how I will be able to get this bungalow and this type of car. So my inspiration was shallow, as I said, but I was in
Oh,
class 5 or class 6 then when I made this decision, and then I followed through, and I did become a lawyer.
that was a good one. Okay. So, Vinati, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day of high pressure deals?
uh, so I like to unwind every day, whether high pressure, low pressure. Once I go home, I like to unwind. And my best way of unwinding is actually to watch some mindless TV shows, nothing serious. I love comedy and I love murder mysteries. So I'm completely, I really enjoy watching murder mysteries that are comedies. So most people see what I'm watching and say, okay, what are you watching? There's this series on Netflix, this is a super hit and all. But my go-to is actually murder mysteries, and it would be perfect if it has a lot of humor in it as
Wow. So, was it hidden talent or hobby people might not know about you?
well. I mean, I can make something up, but actually, I have no talents. Uh, I, I mean, unless you count baking as a talent, I think I'm a pretty decent baker and a cook. So, but I don't get much time for it, and I do it quite selectively for friends and family.
Okay. So if your friend had to describe you in three words, what would they say?
In 3 words,
Yes.
I don't know what they would say, but if I was to describe myself, I would say work in progress.
Okay. So that was my last googly one, and you took it up. Okay. So which book or movie has inspired you the most?
So, I'm not a movie buff, uh, and I'm not a very committed reader either. So, but there is certainly one book which I read, I think, which was the first time that I was pushed to deeply think about prejudice and hatred, and that was To Kill a Mockingbird. So, I really like that book.
Wow. So what's one tradition from your family that you hold close?
So, I have continued some of the Diwali traditions that I
Mhm.
saw my grandmother do. I'm not religious, but I'm a big fan of traditions. So at home, I celebrate Diwali the way my grandmother used to celebrate. So I'll try to cook something at home. We do the whole thing, rangoli. So I do the rangoli with my girls. So I really like that Diwali time. Just the festive environment. So yeah, that is one of the traditions that I've actually, I think, followed.
Wow. So what legacy would you like to leave behind, Vinati?
I would, for my daughters,
Mhm.
uh, I would just like to leave behind. It's a very difficult one. What do I say? Legacy. Hopefully, love. I want I want them to love not just others, but also themselves. I want them to be kind to themselves, uh, and I want them to make mistakes. So I don't want to give them. I don't wish for them a life which is perfect because it will teach you nothing. Uh, but I want them to love themselves through all the mistakes that they make.
Wow. So my last one for your personal journey. If you could live in any city in the world for a year, which one would it be and why?
Okay, so you said a year. So because it's a year, I think I will say London. And the reason I will say London is because it's very familiar to me and I like familiarity. So I'm not very adventurous in that sense. I don't I like familiarity, particularly if I have to be at some place for a very long time. That explains why I'm in AZB also for 22 years. So I like my familiar environment. I don't like change too much. Some changes, of course, are inevitable, but basic ecosystem. If there is too much change in that, I don't adapt to that too seriously. So I would say London because it's familiar for me. I've been there, and I find it easy to move around in the city. If you had said 1 month, then I would have perhaps said Florence or Paris.
Wow. So let's put you in the hot seat, the rapid fire round. Your go-to comfort food.
Chicken curry and rice,
Wow. Your favorite color.
black.
Morning meetings or late night brainstorming.
I can do both.
M&A or investigations.
Investigations,
One word to describe your leadership style.
learning,
Most challenging deals, investigations, or governance.
investigations.
Your favorite Gujarati dish.
uh, khatti mithi dal.
Oh, wow. My mother also. Okay. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Coffee.
Yeah, the coffee show. Let's read. So you did well, and here's your book, which will be autographed and sent to you.
Thank you.
So Vinati's journey exemplifies the perfect blend of legal acumen, leadership, and purpose. From navigating intricate deals to shaping workplace culture, she continues to redefine what it means to be a lawyer and leader in today's corporate world. Her insights remind us that success in law isn't just about solving problems. It's about building trust, driving change, and staying true to your values. So, I like that there are 500 plus coffee speakers sharing their professional, personal journey, insights. Subscribe, implement, and see the change. And we continue a conversation, a cup of coffee with another speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.